everyone, welcome back to week 3. We're going to talk about seeds today. So we're going to dissect some seeds. So in your packet, you should have some seeds, a ruler, some tweezers, and then a worksheet that has instructions on the front and a diagram on the back. So if you don't have your seeds already incubated, or in other words soaked overnight or 24 hours in advance, pause this video and then come back when you have soaked your seeds. Mine have been soaking for around 24 hours, so they should be perfect for this experiment. So if you need to pause and then come back tomorrow, you can do that. So get out your supplies and then meet me back here and we'll get started. Alright everybody, I've got one of each seeds out. You can get both of your seeds. You should have 2 corn seeds and 2 bean seeds in your packet, but I just got out one of each to show you guys for the experiment. But if you want to get both of them out, that is perfectly fine. You may find helpful to have a plate on top of it, or at least to work on a hard surface like this, because remember your seeds are wet, or you could work on a paper towel or something like that. So we are going to dissect our seeds. So we are going to take out our tweezers, and what you're going to do is you're just going to try to carefully split them open with your tweezers. You may have to push inside the seeds a little bit. Be careful. And if you need to, ask a parent or a guardian or someone older than you to help you maybe get into this, or even possibly maybe use a knife. But we're just going to split it open like this, and then try to do the same with the seeds, or with the corn. So the corn was actually taken off of a farm. This was harvested in 2020, so it was last year's crop. And this is a product that goes back into feeding cattle and can be made into byproducts that you and I consume. And this right here is actually just a dried bean seed from the store. I think these might have been like a lima bean or something like that. I just grabbed some dry beans at the store. Okay, so we have got them split open. I'm going to tear this apart so it's a little bit easier, and they lay flat. And I'm going to remove the extra outside coating so you can see a little bit more. And so now what we're going to do is I want you to grab the worksheet that was on the back of instructions. And we are going to take a closer look at the inside of the seeds. Okay, so I'm going to pause my video and reset up. That way so you guys can see a little bit closer. And in the meantime, pause the video, grab your worksheet, and something to write with. Okay, so here's a little bit of a closer view to what I've got on my plate from the seeds. So now what we're going to do is we're going to try to figure out which one is the monocot and which one's the dicot. So without looking on the sheet, you need to find the seed that has just one little single shoot, and that one's going to be the dicot. So if we look at both of these seeds, we can see that there's just one little shoot right here, and that is actually called an embryo. That's what helps grow the seeds, and it is just a common bean. All beans are set up like this, and then we know this one is the monocot. This one's got a little bit more of a complex setup. Mine didn't break open the easiest to see. Hopefully yours breaks up a little bit better. But so then if we take our worksheet, we can see a little bit closer from this diagram. So this is our bean seed. So on the very outer layer, which actually is what I pulled off right here, that's actually the outer layer or the seed coat. It just helps protect the seed. And then inside here is called a cotyledon, which is eventually develops into the first leaves. And then this right here is the embryo. Okay, so then looking at the corn seed, like this one didn't break open the best, but you can really tell on this worksheet, and then hopefully yours worked out really well. It's got a little bit of more of a complex inside, and things are kind of developing a little bit differently inside of the seed. So a little bit of a closer look at an image. Okay, so this shows you a little bit in more details what the inside of the seed eventually turns into. So remember that this right here was our bean seed, okay? So this actually has leaves right here that will develop once it breaks out of the seed. It's got 2 cotyledons, and then eventually this is the kind of a plant that it turns into. So here's a little bit about how it grows. So the seed coat will break open, and then the stem and the roots will start to emerge and go deep into the ground. And then the stem will eventually pop its leaves open, and it will drop its outer coating, which is this little piece right here. And then it'll grow nice and tall into this big plant here and develop some nice, good taproots, they're called. Okay. So that was your bean seed. Okay, so we got the leaves inside, the seed coat, and that's how it starts to form. So let's flip over to the other side. Now let's talk about the corn. Okay, so it didn't show it very well inside my seed. Hopefully yours broke up a little bit, open a little bit different, and if not, we got a good diagram right here. So it's a little bit more complex. So here we've got the first true leaf that will form and emerge outside the seed once it breaks open. The seed coat on this is a thick seed coat on the outside. It's a little bit different than your bean seed. Okay, so once it gets planted, instead of merging over and then popping up, it kind of just goes straight up. So here's that first leaf that we see over here, and it's emerging right here while the roots are forming downward. Okay, so here's it a little bit larger. We've got big roots, and then we've got all of the leaves forming. So there is a bigger image of what the inside of the corn looks like. And then here's how the plant starts forming. So it's got a little bit more going on than the bean seeds. And if I flip it over, we can see even a little bit larger, okay? So very complex. But here you can really see, you could really see in mine, on the top right here, that's what would form into these true leaves on this big diagram here. Just like that. So we've got 2 different kind of formations of seeds, monocot and dicot. If you have other seeds at home you want to dissect, just see if you can match up to what kind of, to this diagram. I would highly encourage you to do that. Just make sure you soak them in your water overnight and then split them open. But there are some other questions that I want you to think about on the bottom of this worksheet. And see if you can answer those, okay? So take a second and see if you can remember what we just talked about and answer them on your worksheet. Okay, so hopefully you have your questions answered on your worksheet, so let's go through them. So question 1, what Iowa crop is a monocot? And we should know that that one was the corn. And question 2 was what Iowa crop is a dicot? And we should know that that's the bean. So number 3 was a compare and contrast between 2 seeds. You could write down anything that you see that is the same and different between 2 seeds, but here was a few things that I had wrote down. So I wrote down that both have leaves inside the seeds, the true leaves, And then both of them also have an outer seed coat. They both look a little bit different, but they do both have a seed coat on the outside. And then the contrast that I wrote down was that the corn had a single cotyledon, which was the first leaf, and then the bean had two cotyledons, which is two leaves inside, where they're the first leaves that emerge outside of the ground. And then I wrote down also that the seed, I'll show you on this diagram again, the seed travels kind of with the stem on the bean, and it doesn't get left here in the dirt. It travels up with the stem. And then we saw earlier that the seed stays emerged in the ground with the corn. So that was a contrast between the two seeds. You could have wrote down many other things with the seeds. Anything that you found that compare and contrast. So I hope that you were able to successfully dissect your seeds and have a little fun learning a little bit about both of them. If you have any other seeds laying around the house, whether it be some sunflower seeds that you have laying around to eat, or maybe you have some seeds that you plan to plant in the ground and have some extras, you could dissect some pumpkin seeds or anything that's big enough where you could soak them and get some tweezers in. So have fun going a little bit further and dissecting some other seeds if you have them around the house. And until then, have fun with your seeds, and we'll see you back here for week 4. Bye, guys.